Hey guys, Tarnish here. So I wanted to go over the statistics for healers and DPS right now in the pre-patch. As we can tell, things are not balanced. A lot of people are discouraged, especially the Frost DKs, Demonology Warlocks. I would say the Outlaw Rogues have some pretty big issues going on right now. But besides that, I know a lot of people have just been getting kind of pessimistic, especially hearing some things about Blizzard and another case may be the delay, and now we're stuck with the pre-patch, and we don't even have the pre-patch event yet. So when it comes to the classes, I would just suggest picking a class that you like to play. If there's a couple classes you're interested in playing, this is a perfect time to catch up. Pre-patches are more so preparation for the upcoming expansion. So I would just spend all your time leveling. I wouldn't spend too much time gearing unless you really want to. There's nothing wrong with that. It helps speed up the first few levels there. Um, but there's really no real reason to gear. If you're bored and just want to do it, by all means. But right now, I would focus on gold and try and liquidate any kind of consumables, stuff like that that you're not going to use. Just keep in mind we're going to be in the pre-patch for a while, so it's still premature in my opinion. Typically, I'd be telling you to get rid of everything, but because of pre-patch being the pre-patch to a pre-patch, you could probably hold on to stuff for a little while longer. So let's get into it. Stereotypically, how I would choose a class that's going to be good by how many of the specs are doing well. So from mid tier up, and if we looked at the earlier, I was looking at the actual numbers of the top 200 parses that went in there. So I did see a lot of BM hunters and Shadow Priests, obviously, that flavor of the month right now. I would not suggest rolling those two specifically. However, Hunter does have two specs that are up here. If you see the potential of these specs are all pretty close. So I would say Marksman Hunter may end up being the better one. However, it's hard to say because the way they're tuning stuff and there's so much time in between now and then, this is not a stereotypical pre-patch. So I'll probably have to do this again on the next pre-patch when we have more official date and the information starts to lock in a little bit more. But as of standing today, say you're worried. If you're a hunter, you should not be worried. If you're a mage, you should not be worried. All three of your specs are doing very, very well. Warlocks have two specs doing really, really well. I would say Destruction is definitely lower on the parses. I was looking through this, so this is pretty accurate. Affliction usually is strong. It just usually is for the higher level. Now, if you're a mid-range Mythic Raider, Mythic Raid team, um, all of these specs are pretty dang good. What I look for when I'm trying to say, oh, maybe you shouldn't go a class is like, see this Outlaw Rook? I goes all the way back here. That's bad. You don't want you don't want to have potential to be that far behind the rest of the pack. So I'm not sure if they're still RNG based. I know in Legion they were very RNG based. I'm not a fan of that. So even as a mid tier uh, Mythic Rating Guild, I would be a little worried about the Outlaw Rogue, the potential being that far behind. But then again, guys, that I don't know what that is. You know what I mean? That could be a couple of really bad Outlaw Rogues just messing it up for everybody. Who knows? But the lowest potential there is very low. Um, Now, it's like I said, for the mid-tier Mythic Raid teams, I think almost any class can do well. Thing that sucks about Demonology Warlock is it looks like there's a very small potential of their damage. They're pretty much set on what they're gonna do, what you can expect from them. So Demonology Warlock, let's switch this to damage. So Demonology Warlock is about 3.5. You can't expect too much more than that from a Demonology Warlock. Um, this is kind of sad. Where everything else seems to have more leeway. Frosty K's got nerfed to the ground, and they were all only a mid-tier DPS, and they got nerfed to the ground. So, what's that mean? It means it could be really strong in BFA. I would say the chances of these specs down here becoming stronger in Shadowlands is very high. All these here. These here obviously will probably get nerfs. It's just stereotypical stuff, right? Now with the fact that we're talking about such a long period of time and so much tuning is going to be happening this time around, I couldn't tell you. I'm going to have to redo this video probably in the future. But this is more so to give people some some little glimmer of hope. I know a lot of people losing hope, getting upset, especially the Frosty case. I happen to have a lot of Frosty K friends getting very discouraged about the Frosty case. Listen, guys, don't worry about it. You got 2 Anafrost. Let them tune it. Don't get too discouraged yet. They're gonna fix it. They're gonna fix it. Don't worry about it. Now, worst case scenario, a couple of these classes are still strong or still weak, and by the first big patch, you'll probably see some buffs and nerfs. Now, stereotypically, if there's something just completely broken with a class, they may not be able to fix it by the first big patch, but they'll probably just throw some damage your way, or they'll probably lower some damage. So sometimes that kills a class, sometimes that makes a class. It's really hard to say. So we went over the damage. Like I said, mages. I think the very top picks for me is going to be. I think warlocks are going to be strong. I think mages are going to be strong, and then I think hunters are going to be strong in that order. Shadow priest is probably going to be mid tier, the top tier. I think that they're going to do that. I think no matter how much they nerf and play at the Shadow priest, I think Shadow priest is going to be a pretty good, strong class. So if you're a mid-range mythic raiding guild or team or raider, where you're not top US, you're just in a good guild that slowly progress through and can usually get cutting edge right before the next raid content comes out, or maybe you don't finish. Shadow Priest, you'll be able to top your meters probably no problem in a raid like that. So and in a raid team like that, really you can play almost anything. And I'm serious, almost any class, unless it's something really bad. Like I'd be a little sketched out about this outlaw rogue as a raid leader. I'd be very sketched out about that, just because the bottom end is just too low. That scares me. Frosty K has a lot of range, so that's another one. Now, again, this is a pre-patch. This isn't live. If this was live, that's how I'd be looking at things. I'd be looking very concerned at Frosty K, Outlaw Rogue, and Retribution Paladin for some weird reason. Nah, I think Reds are fine. Reds do a lot of damage. So, in Shadowlands, you're going to do more damage, but you're also going to be tuned a lot more in depthly than we normally used to. Typically, by pre-patch, we kind of know the dust is settling, and right now the dust is nowhere near settling. So this is more of a hey, if you're nerfed, you're in the crap right now. That you don't know what to do, or say it's pre-patch, you came back a returning player, you don't know what to do. What you should be doing right now is leveling alts, making gold, enjoying yourself, mess around, find a guild or some people that they're hanging around with, get to know a couple people. Um, if you really have everything done because you played all BFA and now you're just pissed because your class got nerfed and you don't know what else to do and you're not real big on PTR testing or anything like that, then it's a good time to pick up another game for a little bit and come back with the next patch. The next patch is a good time to gear up all your alts. So if you're torn between a couple classes, so like me, I'm a healer. So let's look at healers real quick. So with healers, obviously you know I was a paladin. I switched to a druid. Not looking good for me. Right? But I'm leveling a shaman and a priest right now. So I'm think I'm gonna go with 4 of the 5 healers. I definitely want to heal because it's a lot of fun. I'm heavily thinking I'm gonna go druid, even though it's not doing too well right now. I think the legendaries and everything. I think the covenants is gonna fix it. Not to mention a little bit of tuning. I think druids are gonna be solid. Paladin needs some love, Blizzard. I hope you guys listen to that and give it a little bit more love. They need a lot more Holy Light healing, or I don't think that's it. I think they need a really big healing cooldown to really fix them up. So bring back Aura of Mercy if you have to. Aura of Sacrifice from Legion would be the absolute best. That would fix it for sure. Past that, don't know what they can do. They're probably not going to fix Holy Paladin. Paladin's probably going to take some work over the entire expansion. Healing comps will probably be Resto Shaman, Disc Priest, Resto Druid, and then from there, the question is, could you get away with not having a Holy Paladin in your raid? If you could potentially have a lot more output. However, Paladins play a bigger role than just tank healing. They tank heal, but they also are the burst healers. They're holy shocking your lowest HP players, bursting them up to healthy numbers so your raid healers can just spam the raid heals and parse, right? So Paladins do a lot. However, if Mistweavers could pick up that slack or a Holy Priest could pick up that slack, there may be a potential where you say, you know what, maybe I don't want to bring a Paladin, especially if a Shaman could somehow pick up that role. Shamans bring a spirit link totem. Totems in general, if you could get away with getting rid of the paladin and bring another shaman, that would give your raid a lot of potential to do damage. Not just damage, but like healing and big cooldowns that just save everyone's life. So I don't know. Um, Holy Paladin's devotion order is good still, but it's just one of those things where if you have a well-rounded healer that also has a really big cooldown and you keep the tanks alive, the tanks aren't dying. Mm, mm, so I don't know. I imagine Holy Paladins will still be used, especially in the top tier, because they do damage and they have the damage mitigation for the big damage, and they do damage as well, along with the Disc Priest. Those two come together could probably mimic what a DPS would pull. Then you have the Shaman, and probably that would be your three healers for a really hard DPS check. However, you never know. You never know. Things change, and the tuning, like I said, it could be completely wrong. This is my guesses going forward. And again, guys, if your class isn't doing very well right now, I wouldn't stress about it too much. Focus on what healing styles you like, especially when it comes to Paladin, because Holy Priest, Resto Shaman, Discipline Priest, Best Weaver, Resto Druid, and Holy Paladin heal completely different. So, whatever style that you enjoy, I would just recommend going with that. You're not gonna have a problem finding a raid slot as any of these healers. Now, for damage, same thing. Don't worry about it too much right now. If there's a class and spec you really like, play it. Your skill, at the end of the day, will make up the difference. And like I showed here, let me go back to damage so I can show you guys. The potential is very high in a lot of these classes. So if you're one of the best warriors in the world, you're beating a lot of these classes. You're up here. You're middle of the pack, right? And chances are a lot of these classes are taking these classes they think they're good, and they're probably not so good players. So they're going to be forming around here. So that means this really good warrior is actually topping the meter in a mid-tier mythic rating guild. So these charts here are really bad to look at. What I usually tell guilds to do is look at like 80 percentile, right? See how close it is, guys? One person dies early, one person messes up a mechanic, gets unlucky with mechanics, and someone else jumps up. It's that easy, man. A lot of these are pretty close. Now, I'll be honest, this high end here, obviously, we know is going to get nerfed, and everything underneath it. So, like I said, in the middle of the pack, decent, good guild, you don't really got to worry about your class too much. You got to worry about your skill. So long as you're good, you're skilled, you're doing the mechanics correctly, your output's maintained during the mechanics, and you're using all your consumables, you're going to be performing just fine. Don't worry about it. So let me switch to healer and see if it changes at all. Not really. But at the same time, you see this paladin's not as far off, so this paladin could be up here, right? And realistically, in a mid-tier rating guild, a paladin could top the meter, no problem. They can heal for 7,000. I know they can. Their average is 3,800, but they can heal for a lot. The potential's still there. The question is, how hard you have to work versus another healer, and what do you bring to the raid group? That's where I kind of look at it. And how much fun am I having? Honestly, with the holy power thing, it's all right, but I'm not having as much fun as I used to have. So, if we're gonna keep going, uh, so yeah, guys, focus on alts. So alts, gearing if you want. I would say gold goes above gearing. So alts, leveling up alts, gold, and then if you want, you can gear them. Then that in that order is how I would do it. So if you have an alt or character class you want to play, level it up. 2, generate some gold, which you can do that at the same time. And then 3, if you want, gear them out. Now, good thing is the next pre-patch event is going to have gear. Bleach equivalent to normal. That's fine. That's plenty. Maybe do some Mythic Plus, get good at the class, work on that skill. And then from there, when Shadowlands launches, before it gets a little closer, you're going to see a lot more videos coming out talking about what's good and what's bad. It's going to be way more accurate. So I'll do another video because I'm usually pretty accurate in my predictions. This one I don't think is going to be very accurate. However, this is more to give you guys hope. I know a lot of people are discouraged because of nerfs, especially Frost Death Knights. They got nerfed into the ground. It made no sense, but there was probably a reason somewhere, right? So, for you guys, Process Knights, for you uh, survival hunters, don't worry about it. There's hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Um, Stick with what you do. Stick with what you like. If you're looking for a game to play in the meantime, that's about to be my fourth option. If you are a veteran player, you already know what you're gonna play. You're looking for another game. Right now, I know a lot of people are playing and testing out Black Desert Online. It's a lot of fun. I would check that out. Star Wars: The Old Republic is also a good place I go to get away. It's a fun little MMOs. They're the same thing, but a lot different. If you're looking for something completely different, you just need a hack and slash. Black Desert Online is definitely a place to go. If you're looking for something that's basically World of Warcraft, but before all the bad changes, a classic MMO, but that's good, very similar. And you like Star Wars? Star Wars: The Old Republic is a very good MMO. It basically reminds me very much of Cataclysm, type Cataclysm and before type of MMO. They mimicked a lot of what WoW was doing at the time. So and they luckily stopped copying when Blizzard started making some bad decisions. So that's it, guys. This is Tarnish. Tarnish out. Wow, look at Valkyrie. Wow.
He said, wow.
Uh-oh.
I am probably gonna pick a Guardian just because she's super hot.
That's not a healer.